So I'm talking about my snappy title is to achieve zero time to hire, you need to be 100% marketing led. So I've been in recruitment for about 20 years. The first 3 years I was a recruitment consultant, placing accountants into all sorts of different companies. And I think that was probably about 2.5 years too long because I quite quickly realized I didn't really like talking to candidates. I did, however, like all of the marketing communications aspects of recruitment, and back then, one of my colleagues used to call me king of the franking machine, because I love to send out lots of mail shots. Marketing's changed a lot since then, of course, and marketing's all about data. And I'm going to argue today that marketing contributes to about probably 80% of your success in recruitment. Bill Berman says recruitment is not marketing. And the first time I heard him say that, I decided we need to hire this guy as a consultant to our business because we don't agree with him and we need to understand his perspective. Just like really, that's what we did. So, quick experiment. I'm going to buy you a luxury holiday. I'm going to buy you and your family a luxury holiday. You've got £3,000 per person to spend on this holiday. But the deal is that you come back this time tomorrow and you tell me, justify what holiday you're going to be buying with the money. Okay? This is not really going to happen. It's hypothetical. Okay? Now, let's just imagine over the next 24 hours. I mean, this is a pretty good deal, isn't it? You come back and just have to justify what you're going to spend the money on. Right. Hands up, how many of you have, at some point in the next 24 hours, gone online and taken a look at some different places and tried to find out where might be interesting for you? Okay? Almost all of you. Okay, hands up if you have called up some sort of a travel consultant at like Virgin Holidays or one of those kinds of companies. Who's actually spoken to somebody on the phone? Like one of you, okay. Hands up who has gone into some travel agents and had a sit-down face-to-face meeting with like somebody to give them information. None of you. So this is exactly how we go about buying holidays today, how we go about buying cars, how we go about buying houses, and how we make other important life-changing decisions or high consideration decisions, such as a new job. We don't bother talking to people until we're ready to make that purchase, until we've done all of that research online. Candidates do not want to talk to recruiters until they've got as much information as they can online. Okay? It's really, really important. The candidate decision journey has completely changed. So in the past, when I started in recruitment, candidates had to talk to me at the very beginning because all they saw was a lineage advert in the Glasgow Herald with about 2 sentences to explain a job. And they would phone me up and go, yeah, I'm interested, want to know more information. And I would take them a very high-touch journey right through the process. Now, they can find out what jobs you have on offer. They can find out what salaries your jobs are paying, what benefits there are to work for your organization. They can find out what the coffee tastes like in your staff canteen. They can find out what football team your CEO supports. They can find out your inside leg measurement. They know a lot. Okay? We think that, as recruiters, we think that social media and transparency within the world has been to our benefit, and it means that we can hire more people faster. And that was true to begin with. But now, of course, candidates have caught up, and they have a lot more power than they did even 5 years ago to decide, who do I want to work for? As Kevin said, there's 850,000 vacancies in the UK today. You'll know most of the people in your team are probably working on 20 or 30 themselves. It's really, really tough. Candidates have got more decisions than they ever have had. And that's not just with your competitors. On the last roundtable, I was talking to friends from Sky, Accenture, and Publicis Sapient. They are not competitors in terms of the customer market. They are all competing for the same candidates. So candidates have got far, far more choice than ever. Now put into the mix that Kevin, I think, said 1/3 of your employees today are considering exiting the business to go work for themselves. We've got more choices in terms of how we make money than ever. So how do we choose? Now, we are deluged with information. We are bombarded from things coming through the post, things coming through email, things coming through social media, and it's very, very difficult to make sense of all the messages that we're getting. We're getting more messages than ever. And a lot of people are spending more time than they should on their laptops, on their phones, trying to get through it all. And we're all frazzled with it. So we've got information overload, and what that means is you need to be much, much smarter about the way that you get people to listen to your messages when we're talking about talent attraction. You've got to stand out against all of the shops that are sending you emails with their latest offers and their loyalty emails and things like that. We're competing with messages on Facebook. We're competing with the Daily Mail. We're competing with Instagram. We're competing with uniform dating. We're competing with all sorts of different things that are probably not to do with recruitment. So we need to stand out, and the way we stand out is by being useful and relevant. 80% of people, according to LinkedIn, are not in the market for a job opportunity. You use your CRM to send them job alerts when a vacancy gets signed off. For 80% of those people, they don't care. That's spam. At best, they won't open it. At worst, they will click unsubscribe and they don't want to hear from you again. They want completely different things. So when we're thinking about a candidate journey, so within sales and now within recruitment, you can almost think about the candidate journey in terms of awareness, education, consideration, application, 4 stages. In reality, candidate journeys are non-linear. They don't quite look like that. It's more like, the candidate journey is more like what my colleague Scott calls the flight of the bumblebee. So bumblebees have got completely unpredictable flight patterns. Unlike any other animal, every other animal, their movements are almost predictable. With a bumblebee, it's not. So candidates do the same. They get a bit of information by email, on their phone, on the train, on the way into work. They see something at lunchtime on social media. They see an advert on, if you work at Canary Wharf, a lot of those adverts are recruitment adverts in Canary Wharf Station. You see, they're getting lots and lots of different bits of information. So on the basis that 80% of people are not in the market, they're not actively going and finding out about what it's like to work in your organization, how do you penetrate that 80% when they're deluged? As far as I'm concerned, almost every employer is wasting a huge amount of money on doing things that are bringing in candidates that you already have on your database. One very big US pharmaceutical company told me recently that 70% of their hires, who have almost all, he proudly told me that 100% of their hires in the EMEA region were direct sourced, but then revealed 70% of those came through social media and advertising and were already on the ATS at the point that they attached the candidate to the vacancy. Okay? So you are double paying. There may be a couple of you here who are not double paying, but almost all of you are double paying because you've got a big candidate database and that is your best asset that is absolutely unused. So Lisa Jones from a recruitment consultancy firm called Barclay Jones says that if you have 100,000 candidates or more on your database, it's likely that 70% of the people that you hire were already on the database, which completely is in line with what the person at that pharmaceutical company told me, 70%. So you need to make a lot better use. Now, what's stopping you from using your database as the first source of candidate shortlists? What employers are telling me, the reason for that is because some applicant tracking systems are not very good around searching for keywords. a lot of the big ones, the older ones. Some of the more modern ATSs absolutely are. But other employers are telling me the main reason is because we've got 1 million candidate records in there. So if we're looking for a business analyst based in London, we go and find business analysts based in London, and there's 4,000 of them. What do? Call them all, 1 to 4,000, or A to Z? Who do we talk to first? No, they don't do that. They send one email to all of them, which is a job description. So they send them email blasts, which are, for most of those people, it's spam. There's no relationship there whatsoever. It's a sales message, and it's unlikely to get read. So almost all recruitment marketing today is what I would call net phishing. Net phishing is, the definition of success from net phishing normally is a big catch. You bring in a big catch, and then you go through all of the fish, and you keep all the ones that look like tasty morsels. A lot of it gets thrown back into the ocean. I believe in the concept of spear phishing, and spear phishing is when you can really pinpoint who are the individuals that I need to talk to from my database. If you can filter according to keywords, so you know who the right kind of people are, but then you can also determine who's interested in talking to us today, you've got a huge advantage. And employers that I know are reducing their time to shortlist by 50% as a direct result of being able to filter their candidate database according to a real-time engagement score. This is really important. It really, really changes the amount of work that each individual recruiter needs to do in order to get to a shortlist. That was me, by the way, the spearfisher. It's all about talent pipelines. My definition of a talent pipeline is that exists when you know who's cold, who's warm, and who is hire ready in real time. So if you can filter your candidate database according to who's cold, who's warm, and who's hire ready, you can spearfish those individuals who have been on the job, on your career site or your social media or your landing pages or your other assets on the internet, and seem to be interested in working for your organization. One employer told me last week, 4 out of 5 of the people that look at their job descriptions are not applying for the job. But when the recruiter knows who those 4 people are, they can pick up the phone to those individuals, and they're normally converting 2 of those 4 people into further applicants for the job. Because the reason they didn't apply was they didn't know how to get to your office. They didn't know what the salary was. They didn't know how much time was spent traveling in the role. Really, really simple reasons why they didn't apply. If you can see what your candidates are doing online, you're going to be able to make that intervention with each person at the right time when they've already been looking at what's it like to work at your organization. They've looked at that specific job description. The reason they didn't apply is normally not because they didn't like the look of the job. It's normally because there's some other question they didn't have the answer to, and we are needier than we ever have been. We need spoon-fed. We expect spoon-fed information, and if we don't get it straight away, it's too much hard work, so we move on to the next thing. And that's the way we act now. It's the flight of the bumblebee. So, from a talent pipeline perspective, and this is where the marketing really comes in, it's so important not to send that job alert to those 4,000 business analysts to say, I've got a vacancy for a business analyst, are you interested? It's really, really important to nurture people, to send them things that are going to be useful and relevant to them. 80% of people don't care about your job description, and they don't care about your employer brand. They're not interested in looking at that until they're ready to start assessing whether or not you're an employer they're interested in. It's before that. There's a huge amount of great work that you can do, and because it's marketing and it is not what I would call sales, which is human to human, you can automate a lot of this at scale. Marketing does a huge amount of heavy lifting. So you can achieve a lot more without more humans needed to do it all. So in this example, John has opened an email clicked on a link to look at your company's corporate social responsibility, looked at your company's careers Facebook page, downloaded an infographic about skills needed to do a great job at your business, watched a podcast, listened to a podcast where somebody doing the same job that that person might be interested in is talking about their experience in working for your organization, read the employee benefits page on your career site, and then applied for the job. Jane has opened a text message from you, has clicked on a link to look at the values at your company, has gone to look at a YouTube video, has looked at your CEO's video about that person's impression of what's going on in your industry, has then come to look at the financial overview, maybe the company's accounts or financial statements, has then gone to look at the job description and has then clicked apply. These people have got to the same destination you want them to get to. They've applied for that job, but they've gone through entirely different journeys to get there. That's because everybody's different, and we all want to receive information in the way that suits us best. So, what have I written here? Be amazed at the way we can now track and score candidates' interactions with your content online. Now, the benefit of being able to track and score what candidates are doing online, the biggest benefit is you're able to serve a highly personalized candidate experience pre-application. So Natasha gets something that's entirely different from what I get because Natasha likes email and likes infographics about skills. Adam likes WhatsApp messages with videos about industry insights. We like entirely different things, but your job is to generate goodwill and to build ongoing relationships with us as potential candidates for that same job. So you can do that. Automation technology now allows you to automatically segment people and stream people according to their behavior. So Natasha opens the email, so everything Natasha gets from there is through email. Adam doesn't open the email, but then that triggers a text message. Adam does open the text message, so everything Adam then gets is by text message. This is the kind of automated, personalized nurture journey that you can now serve. Taking this kind of talent pipelining approach, you can see precisely which candidates are ready for a conversation in real time. You know who is hire ready. These are candidate records, filtered by what we call an ID score. The ID score tells you that the first person's on 52 points and was active 15 days ago. The next person's on 51 points, so a pretty similar engagement score, but hasn't been active for 52 days. Of course, if you look through this whole long list, you're going to see anybody above maybe 20 points is somebody that's probably well engaged. Anybody that's been active maybe in the last 2 weeks is somebody that's potentially good for a permanent vacancy. Anybody that's been active in the last maybe 3 days, potentially somebody that's really good for a temporary or contract vacancy. Now, the other big benefit that your recruiters get from taking this kind of approach is that you can see exactly what each candidate has been doing. And because you can see that, you can phone up that candidate and you can say, "Hi Mark, I'm calling from BMW, and I wanted to tell you just a little bit about what we're doing around our emissions and find out your thoughts about this marketing manager vacancy." The recruiter is able to say that because he knows that Mark's taken a look at what is this company doing around emissions and trying to reduce them, and also he's taken a look at that marketing manager vacancy. So when the recruiter contacts the individual, they're fueled with insights that are able to create a really, really informed conversation with that person. In terms of GDPR, I weep, and I still hear it. I weep every time I hear an organization saying, "Oh yeah, we're sorted for GDPR. We did a big purge of our database." I think, no, you didn't need to do that. You did not need to delete all those people off your database. And if you're still considering deleting a load of people off your database, do not do it. You just need to interact with them. And if they're interacting, then that's classified as legitimate business interest, being the legal basis for keeping their data. If they're opening your emails, or your text messages, or your WhatsApp messages, or your LinkedIn messages, or they're looking at any of your content online, you have a relationship with that candidate. Presumably they're on there because either they've applied for a vacancy in the past, or they have said they want to keep in touch with your company because they're interested in future opportunities or something like that. Presumably that's why they're on the database in the first place. It is reasonable for them to expect you will keep in touch with them. To keep in touch with them, you need their data. This is all legitimate business interest. So if you still, and a lot of employers still haven't done anything about it, but if you still haven't done anything about it, you need to just keep in touch with those people. Please do not delete your database until they have been inactive. So if they've not been doing anything over a defined period, maybe 6 months if you're liberal, maybe, if you're conservative, maybe 36 months if you're liberal. If they haven't done anything in that period, then fine, yes, you absolutely have to get rid of them. But there's leeway in here.